bunch of other gimmicks that the game just continues to throw at you. You really have to be ready for everything.
Absolutely. And DiamondCrafter just finishing up the battle line section. Warm Ham just is on that final screen, having a little bit of trouble. Again, hasn't practiced Chapter 2 all that much, so looks like he knows the strategies, just hasn't gotten the practice through it. As Birdo here is entering the big mess portion of this.
Yep, the big mess is one of those biggest examples of really how you can tell when a runner really knows what they're doing. Just because there's a lot of navigating to do around, around tight corners, and just there are a lot of places that you can get stuck. Obviously, not very many opportunities to die, but just because there aren't doesn't mean there aren't a plethora of ways that you can lose time.
Absolutely. One way you can is by doing a retry. In one of the races, Acaroline did that accidentally, but this time was able to safely skip cutscene. One thing about this game that hopefully we will not see is retry and skip cutscene are in the same place in the menu. So if you're a little bit early with your skip cutscene, you'll actually retry, which loses you, depending on the screen, a lot of time.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Unfortunately, that happened to Acaroline last race.
Yep.
That we commentated for. I think she's learned her lesson.
Yeah, absolutely did. So both Acaroline and BirdoPrey basically synced up right now. Both of them are the top. You can see Birdo's just has a little bit faster movement right now, but Acaroline has played a little bit, I would say, more steadily. Probably fewer deaths right now, and that's why you were able to see such a close race. Messed up on the dash right there, but actually ended up saving her. Was able to take that backup gem to retain her dash. As both DiamondCrafter is in Chapter 3, as well as Warm Ham going to join him. So Birdo here on this laundry section. Or both of them on the laundry section. Birdo goes, again, on these screens, he's just taking a lot of them much faster. It seems like Acaroline doing it as well, but one thing that I've noticed so far on hers is that while she does these rooms very quickly, she tries to minimize deaths more than anything. Definitely helps get that PB down, but at the same time, it will be at a disadvantage if you're trying to beat somebody like Birdo.
That's true.
Technically is going to be able to go quicker.
That said, for as slow and consistent as Caroline's play we've seen it to be, honestly, I just really like her movement. I can see a lot of potential for that, for that consistent play to just keep steadily improving.
Absolutely, and it's not to say that she's not using fast strats and she's not moving very fast, because she is. It's just when you look at her compared to Birdo, he's going to be doing a few more hypers, things that might be a little bit riskier, and she's probably wisely playing it a little bit safer. As you can see right there, synced up again, Birdo taking a death. It's just one of those things where Acaroline has had at least 3 or 4 fewer deaths because of that. As right here, Acaroline going on one of the more technical parts of Chapter 3, 4 consecutive hypers, is able to get that. Birdo joins her. Warm Ham on himself, he's almost to the huge well, actually, looks like DiamondCrafter, also same room. So both of them are going to be in the huge mess section very quickly. As Acaroline and BirdoPrey, well, actually Acaroline is going to be going to the Oshiro section.
Yeah, Caroline's kind of pulling ahead of everyone else at this point, which might stand to just continue to... well, it might stand to continue, although I would say that it's a fair bit easier to stay alive in Chapter 4 at a lot of places than Chapter 3, though that might just be a personal opinion. I really don't like Chapter 3.
The thing about Chapter 4 is unlike a lot of other sections, and we'll get there in a minute, is it's less about dying as it is like wasting time missing your cycle. But here they're both going past Oshiro. Both of them so far look like it's relatively clean. Oshiro's going to dash after you, going to project that. So they're going to manipulate his position on the screen, really make sure that they're not going to die from him trying to get them. As they're Warm Ham going through that room very cleanly.
Yeah, once again, I'll go ahead and note that Caroline's play might be a little bit slower, but honestly, it's incredibly steady. It's
and that's something that's very important. Looks like she might have taken a death on that final Oshiro room, one that is absolutely frustrating to do. And right there, look, 9 deaths for BirdoPrey in Resort. It's technically 8 because we have a reset, and that counts as a death, or a retry rather. But a little bit high probably for him, but still, that's not very bad. He got through it, so he's going to take the lead in that, as Diamondcrafter is going to drop. Is going to go to the second part of Huge Mess. And here the runners are in Chapter 4. So this is going to introduce Wind shortly. I talked about it before, where this one you might not be. It might not be as easy to die in this section, but it is very easy to start losing time. This Wind can really easily make you miss a cycle, and if you do miss a cycle, you're just going to lose a lot of time. It's almost like you might as well have. And a really tough death there by Birdo. I'm not even sure what happened there, but.
Yeah, the major difference between Chapter 4's core mechanic and the other chapters is that the other chapters' gimmicks tend to be more the likes of stage hazards, zippers throwing you into spikes, or dream blocks, or, you know, those dust bunnies with death cycles. Meanwhile, Wind basically just changes how the game plays itself, because it affects your momentum.
Yep, absolutely. It's tough. You really have to get used to it. These top runners, I don't think we're going to see too much of an issue. Birdo there going and getting the auto-scroller skip. Very nice.
We see acaroline kind of showing a bit of an example of a sort of trick that, if you don't get it the first time, well, if you don't get that sort of trick, it tends to be easier to just go back down and then go back in.
Absolutely. acaroline also getting that auto-scroller skip. Ooh, just barely misses that bubble. So Birdo's going to get a little bit of an advantage there, but messes up on one of those, but is able to recover.
Yeah, good presence of mind to hit that retry button, which saves honestly about a second, as opposed to just taking the death. She opts for the safer route this time around, because it looks like that strat wasn't really doing her very many favors.
Yeah, tough death there, but we see Diamondcrafter. He's still going through the key section, but he should be almost completed with at least this section of it, and that's going to be his final key. Diamondcrafter just going for, and wisely at someone of his level, just safer strats. When you're just starting to learn some of these tougher strats, the name of the game is just not dying as often, so do things you're more comfortable with rather than doing quicker strats, and that's what we're seeing him do. While Warm Ham is sort of doing a lot of the opposite and doing more difficult strats, but just not getting it the first time, and has allowed him so far to actually have a pretty decent time, but also a fair number of deaths so far. So BirdoPrey is going to go into the heavy Wind section of this. Wind's going to pick up. It's going to make it a lot more difficult. You basically... Oh, that's a tough one from Birdo. It looks like he didn't step on that moving block.
That's a little weird.
What was weird about it is he had his dash, so just a little bit of a strange one. I haven't seen that happen before. Probably a little bit frustrating for him. As acaroline, not far behind, is going to join that heavy Wind section. Having a little bit of trouble in this room. Again, the heavy Wind, the biggest thing about it is it's really just going to mess up your rhythm, and if it does that, you can lose a lot of time.
Yeah, at heavy Wind, basically, when you're not moving, you're moving to the left by pretty quickly.
And if you're just if you're just pushing your button to the right, you're probably hardly moving, maybe a pixel a second.
Yeah, momentum is definitely just almost non-existent in heavy Wind against you.
Yep. Tough death there from Ham. acaroline is just 2 screens away from joining Birdo and going into Chapter 5. And Chapter 5 is honestly one of my favorites, Mirror Temple. Very interesting one. A lot of different mechanics, a lot of interesting skips that you can do because of what we're going to see right here. And those are dash blocks. Basically, move when you dash. You can use that to build up a lot of speed. Have these red bubbles similar to the ones we saw in Chapter 4, but they just keep on going. Right. Ooh,
there. Nice reverse hyper.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that has a reverse hyper just looks really cool. So I love that skip.
Man, they designed the reverse hyper for show-offs, honestly.
Absolutely. I mean, there's places where you pretty much have to use it, but at the same time, they designed that to look cool. As Warm Ham here, having a little bit of trouble on this final room. You know, that's something that happens, especially when you're a newer runner. Allowing DiamondcrafterA to maybe catch up in this, of course, unofficial race. The official races so far look like it's, you know, anything can happen in Celeste, but somewhat determined. It looks like it's probably going to be acaroline and Birdo, but these runners are going to try to put on a good time and a good show, hopefully PB. Warm Ham definitely on a good pace to PB there. A little bit risky going for that hyper there from Warm Ham.
Yeah.
I think that's just a case of him wanting to go as fast as he can, almost like what you would do in a practice attempt.
Yeah, I think he's pushing himself.
And that, I mean, that's absolutely fine. I'm sure he knows as well as everyone else that he's probably not going to win this, so it's better for him to try to push himself than it is to do what's safe.
Man, I don't buy that one death that the DiamondcrafterA took. It looked like he was right on top of Oshiro, right there again. Come on, game, what are you doing?
It's just rough. It's this last room as well. It's very difficult. It can be very frustrating when you have a single death because you know how long it takes, you know how much time it wastes, and it can just death cycle all the way in through there. So Birdo just went through that Seeker section. acaroline is going to join her, and so we're going to get one of those as Birdo there. Beautiful movement on that dash block. So yet another part of this game where you're going to want to manipulate enemies or cycles in order to get things to your advantage. So you're going to see all these runners try to, as he did right there, get those Seekers to press buttons for you, helps you reduce the amount of time you take in each of these rooms.
acaroline, not too far behind in this race.
No, absolutely. I think that we really do have two interesting races between them, and with DiamondcrafterA and Warm Ham as well. DiamondcrafterA, if he can, you know, finish up Chapter 3 in a reasonable pace, Warm Ham might not be as comfortable with the battle line section as maybe DiamondcrafterA is, and maybe that'll help him be able to come back.
I'm seeing some nice corner boosts from acaroline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done to her.
So Diamond there. Hopefully he can get out of that room. He's been stuck on that room for a while. I know that feeling from races itself. It can be very frustrating.
We got Warm Ham making his way through Chapter 4. Kind of a ways behind acaroline, but honestly, probably just focused on his own thing right now.
Yep, absolutely. Sounds like Ham's taking a few unfortunate deaths there as he's making his way through Chapter 4. So unfortunately, it looks like DiamondcrafterA might still be stuck on this Oshiro section. Really rooting for him to get out of it because, again, I know how tough that is to get out of that room.
That's exceptionally frustrating.
It is. Especially when you're in a race setting, you know that you have to perform. You can't just mess up. Okay, one final jump. Let's see. Okay, let's go. And he's out of it. Ooh, was rooting for him big time there because... yeah, it is tough to be in that.
And it's unfortunately not one of those situations where you can kind of just reset and kind of refresh your mentality.
No, it's
Unfortunately,
tough.
that's not so kind in a race. Meanwhile, we got BirdoPrey just finishing up Chapter 5.
Yeah, acaroline not far behind. So only about 4 more rooms. She gets that skip. Gives you so much momentum from that dash block. One of the coolest looking skips in this section. So only, what is this, I believe? Yeah, 1 more room after this. As Wormham, pretty good pace through Chapter 4 right now, so... Birdo's showing off the feather. It's one of the few analog movements of anything in the game. So you'll see a lot of people who run on D-pad. They'll switch over to an analog stick just for those sections. Wormham going for the auto scroller skip. He's gonna get it on his 2nd try.
Yeah, Diamondcrafter definitely trying to play some catch up here. Chapter 3 gave him a lot more grief than I imagined he was expecting, but he can still definitely make a good run of things, starting with Chapter 4.
Yeah, absolutely. And I respect Wormham. What he's doing right now is not doing easy strats. He's doing the recommended strats, at least for fast times, you know, for people who want to get sub 40. He's doing those, so respect that. Right here, acaroline going for leg skip. This is going to save you 4 or 5 seconds. Generally, you can miss that and still save time about 2 or 3 times. But acaroline right here is on, I believe this is her 4th or 5th. So definitely losing time here compared to just doing it. Let's see. She's going to continue to do it. I think she knows, she gets it, that, you know, she's got an advantage over Wormham. So just do the strategy that she does every single run.
Yeah, Lake Skip is just kind of... I imagine it's annoying for a lot of people because it's come to the run has come to the point where you just kind of have to do it, even though it really doesn't feel like it really doesn't save very much time. There just aren't there are not too many like major ways to save time with human hands these days.
Yeah, absolutely. If someone says, "Hey, I have a strat that saves you 4 seconds," it's kind of like, okay,
well, guess I gotta do it.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see, Wormham here, he's moving through that room with ease, as DiamondcrafterA not far behind. Ooh, tough death there at the end. It looks like he wanted to do an up right there and just did a right instead, and that went right into spikes. As Birdo there tries to dash, so these bumpers right here, send you normal to the position in which you hit them in. It can be tough because you swear that you hit it right in the center, but it'll just shoot you straight down or up, sending you into spikes or your death. That's what happened with Birdo there, but he's finishing up that at a pretty quick pace. He's about, I think, about 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, and finishing up these diverging path section. acaroline maybe 45 seconds or so behind, not too much behind.
Yeah, I'd say Birdo is about at the maybe the 1/3 way mark of the level. This level can be pretty long, not nearly as long as Chapter 7, but
no, but
it's got some length to it.
Absolutely,
it can definitely feel like it's dragging, especially toward the end.
And Birdo putting in this developer dev skip, whatever the name for that would be. Gets it first try. That one's a little bit tough because if you do die, you no checkpoints. You go right at the beginning, but he's gonna get that first try. As Wormham, he's gonna go into the heavy wind section.
And BirdoPrey, oh dear, maybe showing off a little bit too much. BirdoPrey ends up taking a death there where you probably shouldn't be.
No, oh, acaroline right there. Let's see if she can save it. Oh, tough, she cannot. And so Birdo's going to go into the battle line section of this. One of the more demanding sections. When you talk about how important cycles are, this is definitely one of them, because those beams that she's going to shoot at you, it's based off of a position right when she's throwing it. You just need to make sure that where you're at is not going to be where those beams are thrown at her. Can be very tough. Definitely need to make sure that you have your precise movement down. So both runners here, heavy wind section, I believe Diamondcrafter just took the lead. but I'm not sure. Yes, DiamondCrafter did just take the lead. And DiamondCrafter wisely there, using that snowball to his advantage. Jumps on top of it to regain that dash and get a little bit more forward momentum.
Yep.
Birdo here making this battle line section just look easy.
DiamondCrafter coming up pretty close, I want to say.
Yeah, I believe that's 2 more screens, so this one and then 1 more, and then we'll be finishing it up. Oh, and Wormham with what tough death there. Looks like he was just out of that room, jumped up on top of that platform, and just very unluckily had a snowball go and hit him.
That's so irksome. I don't think the snowballs quite home in on you as much as they do in the B side, but it can certainly feel that way.
It absolutely does. DiamondCrafter there, he's finishing up Chapter 4. As Birdo just continually making this battle line section just doesn't seem like he's had that many mistakes or screw-ups so far, so
yeah,
I'm sure he's happy with his pace right now.
I've really liked Birdo's run so far. He's definitely demonstrating, you know, why he's in the upper echelon of those Celeste Any Tournament runners.
Yep. And acaroline not doing too bad herself, but just 1 more or 2 more screens. This one and then 1 more for Birdo on this battle line section. You know, I'll save that comment for about 20 seconds from now.
Yeah. You may want to do that. Ooh.
Okay, somebody, especially in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was a deathless battle line section.
Whoa.
If it wasn't, it was 1 or 2 when they were small deaths. A very good battle line section for him. As acaroline didn't entered a minute or so behind, but definitely going to be tough for her to catch up after that. That was an insane pace.
We've got Wormham and DiamondCrafter both getting into Chapter 5. Perhaps a bit of an easier little section of the game to start off with, up to a point, and then it kind of stops being an easier section of the game.
That Theo section, it's one of those, you talk about, Ashiro's last room is tough, so is a lot of those Seeker sections, or Theo sections, excuse me.
Yeah, the Theo section is where things get a lot more technical, because the game is, by its nature, pretty straightforward when it comes to how to move around and control it. There are those advanced techniques, but those advanced techniques are kind of like, you know, like if most advanced techniques are in addition of your simple maneuvers, the Theo section can feel like a multiplication of those basic maneuvers.
Yeah, absolutely. And right here, so finishing up this first section, about 40 seconds for Birdo. His PB is a 36.15, so he entered this at a low 26. He'd have to get through this. I'm not sure what. Actually, I'm not sure what his pace is for Summit, but if he gets a very good one, he might be able to PB here. And as I say that, he's had to take a couple unfortunate deaths, but none of them too time costly, so let's just hope that he can bounce through those. But either way, great pace of a run for him. acaroline, she's finishing up Chapter 6, gonna join him in Chapter 7 as well. DiamondCrafter on the Seeker section. Wormham just a room behind.
Yeah, BirdoPrey taking a pretty clear lead in this 4-way, you know, unofficial but still definitely true 4-way race.
Yep, absolutely. acaroline making a great pace. Just had some unfortunate deaths in there, and then as we said before, Birdo's tech, you know, what he's using in terms of strats are just a little bit faster. So it's very tough if Birdo doesn't make as many errors as he has not been, especially in Chapter 6. You just sort of can't catch up to that. Birdo moving through this. One of my favorite parts about this section of the game, Summon, is how the music builds on top of each other. Ooh, and tough death there by Birdo. But just it's you have the same, I guess, melody. I don't know the name of what it would actually be.
We would call that a, well, we kind of, you could call that a leitmotif.
Okay.
Though that's a little bit, it's less subtle than that.
Yeah. So it just builds on top of each other. I absolutely love it. Feels good. It's almost like if you're
a progression, I suppose.
Yeah, if you're not paying attention to it, you almost don't realize it happens. That's how good it is. But it makes, except for chapter, the 2,500 meter section, that one's pretty obvious. But
yeah, you'll notice the difference in the 2,500 meter.
So DiamondcrafterA, he's on one of these tougher portions. Right there, what it looked like, I don't know if he was trying to use that to his advantage. It looked like he was trying to do a strat where you use the explosion of the seeker to push the button. From what I understand on the Switch version, you need to have them be right on top of that button. So the PC version allows a lot more room there. I'm not sure if DiamondCrafter knows that. I actually didn't know that until just yesterday.
Yeah, that does sound like a bit of a disadvantage.
It's just one of the few small things where the Switch is at just ever so minor of a disadvantage. Nothing that's gonna, you know, cause minutes of difference, but definitely you need to. Some strats are just not gonna work as easily.
DiamondCrafter having to get take a little bit of setup to do that skip, but he gets it first try.
Yep, and Birdo going through this 1,500 meter section really cleanly. Got all of the strats in that previous room down first try. Had to take one part a little bit slowly, I should say. So not everything was first try, but still looked very clean. Acaroline finishing up the 1,000 meter section. So she's been on a really good pace so far this summit. So not quite catching up as Birdo's been very clean so far, but definitely doing very well. As DiamondCrafter, he's going to be going into the Theo section. It's really been sort of back and forth between Wormham and DiamondCrafter, although DiamondCrafter's had the lead for the majority of this Chapter 5. Was down a little bit going after Chapter 4, but yet is coming back pretty well. We're actually after Chapter 3, not after Chapter 4. So that rough last room in Oshiro didn't cause too much of an issue.
Yeah, he's definitely managed to move past it, showing perhaps a little bit more practice in the latter chapters, which probably for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Birdo here having a little bit of trouble on this room. Snowball caused him a death. He's going to get a strawberry. On that one, you don't always get that. Hopefully he can get this. He's going to go for... Oh no, he's going to get that strawberry.
Yeah.
That's great.
Ooh.
In my personal opinion,
I think it's a little bit close there.
Yes, it was. But the more strawberries, the better. As long as it's not a ridiculous number.
As long as you're not going so well out of your way for that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another one that I'm sure he won't try for right here where he can get a strawberry. But that actually legitimately wastes like a half second going for it. So, yeah, he does not go for it. Acaroline finishing up the 1,500 meter section. Didn't have too much of a trouble. Really not that far behind. That section was so clean. I think that she actually gained a little bit of time.
So, as things currently stand, it looks as though Acaroline is on the way to the bracket stage with this race. She'll be, provided things go her way, things continue to go her way like this, she'll be moving up to, what was it, 4-1?
Yeah, 4-1. 4 wins does not guarantee you into the brackets. However, that would be a very unlikely scenario where you get 4 wins and don't move on. So, yeah. She, in all likelihood, is going to move on to this bracket section. At least 4 wins makes it extremely likely to do it.
Yeah, so, and it's worth noting that, I mean, of course I think she's planning on trying to win her last race. But regardless of how this, regardless of how this and the next race turn out, I'm sure she is focused, but she should be focused on making sure she has good times for these upcoming races, because ultimately making the bracket stage is a matter of wins and losses, but seeding in the bracket stage is a matter of average time.
So one thing that was actually just changed. It's now
what's going on?
That literally was changed. I believe it was today or last night.
Okay.
So the PB is no longer affecting your seeding. It's now just your seed. And so if you're a first seed, you're going to go against a fourth seed of another group. Second seed's going to go against a third seed of another group. Warmham just narrowly making out of that. He's trudging through this section pretty well. Right there, nice move there. It looks like he's going to wait and jump on top of that Seeker yet again. DiamondcrafterA finishes up that section at about 33 minutes. So he's on a pretty good pace to PB if he can keep this up as well, even after that tough Oshiro room. And Birdo, he's going to be in the 3,000 meter section. He's going to head to flag 28.
Yeah, and at this point, the wind's back, but it's going in a different direction. With the wind going down, you're a lot... Well, basically gravity is a lot more intensified, which, as a result, tends to make you go faster. So there's a lot of potential for speed, but it's very easy to just drop really quick deaths to those spikes laid out on the ground. The designers knew what they were doing when they put downdrafts in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really tough because until you realize that it's there, you might be dashing at a certain pace and just wondering, why am I... And so acaroline here going for door skip. Let's see if she gets it. Gets the first one and gets the second one.
No problems there.
No problems. Easy first time every time. But yeah, and right now going into the updraft section can be a similar issue. It sounds like it would be nicer. You get more lift on your jumps, but it can just throw you off when you're not used to it. Even when you're speedrunning it, you might feel like, oh, okay, I have this jump. So you really have to be prepared for each of these sections, which is why commonly this 3,000 meter section is one of the most grinded sections in the entire game.
Yeah, just like Chapter 4, the updrafts and downdrafts change the core mechanics of the game itself. With your in terms of your momentum, like you just move differently. Sure, you can deal with like zipper blocks and dream blocks because in the way that you normally would because you're moving the same way. But when you start moving differently, you're going slower or you're going faster or you're a lot more floaty. Then you really have to change up your mindset on the whole game.
Yep, absolutely. So, hey, Caroline, in the 3,000 meter section, not too far behind Birdo. Birdo looks like he's going to have a win here. Can't see what Birdo's time is right now. His PB is a 36:15, so if he can play this cleanly, he might be very close to that. He's at least on a pace for a sub 37, a 36-minute run. But let's see how he can finish this up.
Yeah, Warmham, as far as we can tell, was just finishing up on Chapter 5. I can imagine he's making his way through Chapter 6 right now with around 40 minutes in that. It's hard to tell
how he's
it's hard to tell how he's doing. I think he's doing better than his last PB.
He definitely is doing better than his last PB. But fun fact about the room Warmham is in. You're pretty much never going to die there, but it actually is possible to die if you just somehow move forward enough for one of those doors to fall right on top of you.
Oh no!
Yeah, so
that sounds really hard to accidentally do, but
it has happened.
It's happened.
It has happened to me and at least a couple other people. It's not something that happens often. Sounds like Birdo is on one of the final few flags. He's actually on the final flag right now.
You can hear the music fading. He's just about finishing up.
Let's see, Birdo, if you're in the Twitch chat, we want to know if you PB'd. Because we saw you're at 35 minutes finishing up flag 13. Sounds like you maybe took 1 or 2 deaths, or maybe none. We need to know what that time was. We need to know if that was a PB. Oh, actually, we're getting that screen right now.
It's coming back. All right. Moment of truth.
Flag 7 for acaroline. She's already above her PB base, I believe. Or just about it. And that's a 36:45. That should... Oh, no, that's a... Never mind. I was thinking it was 37:45.
Yeah.
That is 30 seconds off. So very good run.
Yeah, still a very respectable run.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they'll be happy with it. A couple mistakes there that cost the PB, but at the same time, for a race setting, that's very good. acaroline finishing up flag 4 here.
Yeah, and a race time that comes close to your PB is definitely, unfortunately that argument is now out the window, but all the same, it's still very good. It's still very good to have.
Yeah, Absolutely. If I'm seeing that correctly, it's a little bit blurry on my end. That looks like it's, I'm not even going to comment on the number of deaths, but just a little bit too blurry. Caroline, she's on the final flag here. Going to get a 38-minute barring a catastrophe. So that's actually not too far off of her PB as well. Just about 40 seconds off. So great run for her as well. Pretty close race between them. Just a little bit under a minute. 51 deaths. That's what I thought. I just didn't. Thank you, Birdo, in the chat giving me 51. So that's definitely not bad when you're doing the techniques and skills that Birdo is. But just I was saying before about Birdo's techniques that he's doing. They're very fast. And it's why at the beginning acaroline was able to stay so close for so long, was that even though he was doing faster strategies, just a few more deaths. So if he can get something like 20 deaths on one of these runs, I would not be surprised if he gets a very, very good PB. But
DiamondCrafter getting to the getting closer to the it's hard to tell. He's probably a little bit past the halfway point of chapter 6.
Yeah, it really depends on how
comfortable. Can be difficult to maneuver.
Yes, they can. Yeah, it really just depends on how comfortable they are with the battle line section. That section can either be. I've noticed that it depends on your comfortability level. You could be to where you die on rooms a few times. You could, be somewhat comfortable with it. It just sort of matters at this sort of hour PB skill level. And there, Wormham was doing a strategy before. I'm not sure what he was actually doing. I just wasn't. I'm not aware of what exactly that strategy is, but decides to not go for that and go for another one. Ooh, and right there, right on top of a, just goes right over the top of a bumper. Now let's see if we can get Birdo in for an interview as well. I'm sure that he might want to talk about that great race he just pulled off.
We'll see if we can get him in here. In the meantime, we've got DiamondCrafter getting to the battle and segment of the of chapter 6.
Hey folks.
And hello, Birdo. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you guys? Thanks for
doing
coming,
good.
by the way.
Yeah, no, but thanks. That was a great run that you put on. That was, you said about 30 seconds off of a PB or something like that.
Oh, we're waiting for an answer from him. Let's have a quick look at perspectives for I guess for acaroline. Do we have an upcoming race for acaroline? Yeah, she'll be racing tomorrow against Reality Z.
Oh, awesome! That's going to be her 6th race, so only 2 more races for her. So, if she can get 1 more win there, 5 wins does absolutely guarantee you a spot in the brackets. So, I'm sure that she'll. I'm not sure what the difference in PBs, but I'm sure that she'll really be hoping for that, especially since now that seeding is so important. Definitely want to get as many wins as you can, because if you get a 2nd seed, it's a lot more advantageous than a 3rd seed or a 4th seed.
And are you with us?
Hey guys, by the way, sorry, my keyboard got disconnected and I pushed it.
Oh no!
Noticing.
No problem.
Hey, no problem.
So yeah,
how do you guys hear me at all?
No.
Yes, we can.
We can right now.
Oh, we can now, but we couldn't.
Okay,
before.
cool. All right. So yeah, actually, kind of surprised to get. It was like 25 seconds off PB, and I was kind of surprised to get that just because, well, my practice was going really badly today, and then I had all those deaths at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that, it wasn't a great start, and then that Golden Ridge was probably my worst moment. But I actually pulled together in the end game pretty well there. I had a really good Mirror Temple, especially like the first part before Theo. And also really great reflection, almost an ILPB for me.
Was that
Summit wasn't bad either.
Did you die on Battlein at all? I don't believe that you did, but maybe I missed it.
I can't remember. If I did, it was really quick. It might have been a Deathless Battlein fight, now that I think about it.
I think that I didn't see one, but you know, with four-person race, you're looking across all these screens. But I really think that was, in a race so far, one of the most impressive that I've seen. So, good job on that. With just, you know, I think it was deathless, but even if there was a couple deaths, they were at least very quick. So, very impressive.
I'm really happy I managed to pull off that really sweet ultra strat in that feather room and battleman fight.
Oh yeah, that's a tough strat.
Yeah, I'm doing like a slightly easier setup for it now, where I do I start out with a wave dash off of the left platform instead of trying to get that perfect length. So it's a little easier that way, but still. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the hard strats I was trying to pull off actually ended up going pretty well. It was the rooms that I'm like not used to dying in that I was dying in a lot.
I see. Yeah, that run. I think that I was saying it before you came in for the interview, but I really think that if you could just have one of the, like, a miracle run where you die like 25 times or so, I think that you can pull a really good PB.
Yeah, if I could manage only like 20 deaths or something, I could probably get like a 34.
Yeah, I think that you can make a big jump if you just have a really good run, because it seems like you have all the techniques down. It's just a matter of not dying so much, which is of course easier said than done. If it was just not dying, I'm sure everybody would have a 30 by now.
If only I were better at the game, then I would have a faster time.
Exactly. Why don't more people think of that?
And I'm always like kind of almost a little envious when I see people who like don't do all these fast strats, but like just do everything they do really well and end up, you know, getting pretty much as good times as I do. It's like, I mean, man,
it's just one of
honestly saw
thought.
Well, speaking candidly, we kind of saw a little bit of that with your, I guess, unofficial race between you and acaroline, because at least for the first section of the match, it seemed as though acaroline was kind of like would slowly pull ahead of you as you were starting to make some mistakes, and she was playing very consistently. But then as you were starting to go for the more risky stuff, because acaroline is very much a steady sort of player, you would end up like kind of jolting ahead of her at certain points. And then after a certain point, I think acaroline's consistency may have worn off a little bit with this race. Honestly, I was seeing cold hands throughout the whole race. Maybe today's one of those off days. I'm sure. Like I think almost every racer on here is better than what we saw today. But you know, that's just fine.
Yeah, it still wasn't a bad race for her. But those 33 deaths, there was at least a few of those where if you just took those away, I think that you have at least, you know, 30 seconds more. So a few frustrating deaths. Definitely was consistent, pretty solid all the way through it. But yeah, it was just a few minor mistakes or major mistakes away from having a really good time.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
So what do you got coming up in terms of races, Birdo?
So I have most of my races done with or scheduled at this point. My next race is against DS Gamer 93, I believe that's the number. That's going to be on Sunday. I think it's either at 2 or 3 p.m. And then on Thursday night next week, I'll be racing against it's escaping me.
I'm sure you'll think of it.
Yeah, so almost done with my group races at this point. I'll probably be done by the end of next week.
So right now did you become, that was your 4th win? Or your 3rd win?
My 3rd win. I took a loss against Less Than Perfect, who is top seed in my group.
Yeah, that's going to happen. Even acaroline there, so it took her win. She has her 4th win. Her only loss was against Crossheiken, however you pronounce it. So when you are like the 2nd or 3rd seed, I don't think that there's anything wrong with getting a loss against one of the top runners. So
yeah, it's tough to pull ahead.
In that bracket stage, hopefully someone pulls off an upset or two.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Maybe a little more likely. Maybe a little bit more likely now with the rule change. So we'll have slightly more unpredictable first rounds in the tournament. So
yeah, absolutely,
might be interesting.
Warm hand, more screens.
And we got DiamondcrafterA making his way through 500M. 500M. I know how this game works.
You just gotta look at those zipper blocks, you know. That's how you know. Not sure there if DiamondcrafterA was trying to do a bounce off of that, but that's actually, if he was, that's a pretty technical strat to go for, and usually he's going for a conservative. Might have just been a safety jump there.
I'm glad that that DiamondcrafterA was able to join me here on the live restream. It's pretty cool. I think he wasn't restreamed the first time around. It's definitely a little harder for him with his tech setup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and honestly, this setup right there with the way that he has it set up, it honestly is not that bad. And we have acaroline joining the chat.
We might.
Looks like her mic is turned off at the moment. But
Well, we'll see if she's able to join us. Warmham here, going through this battle line section. I'm not sure how much practice he's had on this battle line section, but it can be one of the tougher ones if you're not don't have enough experience in this section, because there's just so many patterns that you have to recognize for these that at least for me it can take a long time if you're not used to it. But actually, he doesn't have that bad of a time. I believe right now it's only about 12 minutes, so definitely not a good time, but for someone at his skill level, anything that's below like a 15 is, you're probably somewhat happy with it, or as happy as you can be when you have a high PB.
I believe we have a Carolyn in the call for an interview.
Hey there.
Hello. Thank you
Hey,
so
Carolyn.
much for joining us.
GG.
I do my best with English. I will do my best.
Oh, no problem. Appreciate
Hey, no problem.
it.
We'll try to keep the questions easier to answer.
Okay.
First off, how do you feel?
I feel good.
Feel good?
This is fun. I have much fun here, and I died too much on Golden Ridge and Temple.
Yeah,
as we all do.
yeah, that's an easy one to do it. It was actually very close. So between this, unofficial race between Birdo and you, since it's this 4-way broadcast, you guys were actually sort of neck and neck all the way up until Chapter 4. So it was really interesting to watch. But even so, it wasn't actually that far behind the entire time. You guys, I believe, finished a minute apart.
Wow, I hear that. So until till Chapter 4, we are close.
Yeah, it was a great race. Yeah, so that was your fourth win, 5th overall. When's your do you have your next races scheduled?
I have one tomorrow at 1 p.m. with Realties.
Well, good luck there. 5 wins, that'll definitely help you with your seeding if you can win these next 2 as well, or at least get one more.
Do you have any goals for perhaps improving your PB throughout the rest of the tournament?
Yeah. Like I wanted to sub 36 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, my summer best right now are is 36, no, 35, 57. So it's hard, but we can do it.
Absolutely.
Warmham.
You remember you guys were mentioning like if I could die less. I'll just say my sum of best is like 3304.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's one of those. Oh, that Celeste is one of those games where you really have to take your sum of best with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those where you can just have one of those runs where you just get like a 20-second gold, or it can be like, how am I not, you gold one section and then you get like a minute red on the other, and you're just like, what is happening on my run right now? So
yeah. And I know that experience. I mean, having started with Mario Kart 8 200cc with items, I know that my sum of best is going to be like, yeah, sure, my sum of best is sub 130, but am I ever going to have that good of luck?
No, you just turn that off because then you'll look at that and then all of a sudden you'll get
not even worth considering.
Yeah. So both of them actually on the in chapter 7 right now. So Wormham moving through at a pretty good pace. I really respect that he's going for these tougher strats. It might just be because that's all that he's practiced rather than doing more casual strats, but you see him going back and forth between different rooms. That way he can get these cycles down, almost like you would in a practice. But
yeah, I really like the effort that Wormham has been putting out this race. I know that both Wormham and Diamondcrafter have one of the biggest causes of them being kind of, I guess, this far behind in their own respective races has been perhaps a bit less so, just kind of lesser execution, although that would contribute to it, but more just they were a lot more prone to situations with single, perhaps rather large rooms where they would just keep dying, and it was I was experiencing a lot of secondhand frustration looking at that because I felt it. I felt it so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard.
Yeah. And there's just not... Oh, man. When you're having those and you're just continually dying on some of those sections, you almost feel like you can't do... You're like, what am I doing wrong? And you just continue to do it because you just get more frustrated. You start to do... the biggest thing is you try to start speeding up your strategies, but that, especially in Celeste, does not work. You can't just decide, oh, I'm going to do this room faster than normal, because then, okay, you're going to try to hyper here. Now that means you're dead.
Yeah, for me, when I start getting, I guess you could call it getting tilted, start dying in the room, like, if I, die to a miss dash, I'm very likely to die to the exact same miss dash, 2 or 3 more times. It's ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And we see DiamondcrafterA got low battery on that left Joy-Con. Hopefully, hopefully they can go through it. Yeah, I know that at least one of my my runs in Celeste so far has had a dead battery halfway through it. But
I could have sworn they fixed the firmware on the whole low battery thing.
The low battery, that's a different issue they have, but that's a whole...
Is that a hardware thing now?
Yeah, it's just that I believe the left Joy-Con, let me pick this
just
up really
sucks.
Yeah, it's just got some weird stuff going on with it. Let's see. Oh, Diamondcrafter going for door skip. Gets door number 1.
He kind of failed it the first time.
Oh no, he missed it.
Not gonna go for it.
I hope he gets it. He's going for it again. Gets it.
He wants it. He wants it.
Go. You can do it. And he gets it. No. Oh, and he saves it. Diamondcrafter with the door skip.
Oh my goodness.
Awesome.
So close.
Oh man.
Oh wow, I just caught that save it right at the
I
end.
wonder if that's something that he's used to doing. From the fact that he kept going for it, maybe he's just he made a pact at some point that he's never going to do that room normally again, no matter what happens.
Doing it for the fans. I think I wonder if he maybe wasn't even expecting to get it, and that's why he fell so far after he got it.
Yeah. That would certainly make sense.
It could be that he's not... So for me, I did door skip for the first time in a race yesterday. I had not done it before, so it could be one of those things where maybe he's done it a few times and just wasn't comfortable with whatever you do after you actually get door skip.
I'm not sure. I didn't think I would get this far.
Exactly.
Oh, you know what I'm proud of? Did you guys catch my my first try lake skip?
We missed it. I think I missed it.
Yeah,
I think we were talking about something else. We'll have to go back and check that out because that's very impressive.
I do sort of a weird version of lake skip where I crawl up the left wall instead, and instead of doing the wall bounce underwater. I just find it a lot easier to set up. It only takes a second or 2 more. So
yeah,
but I did get it.
They're very nice. That's one of the tougher skips that's in the run. Wormham, they're just a little bit tough trying to get through that dream block to that top section.
We got Diamondcrafter in the last section of the game at 3000 M. I would say that a sub-hour is possible but he would have to be relatively clean for, like at his level from this point.
Yeah,
it'll be hard to get that out.
So much easier said than done.
Yeah, I don't know if I see it. I hope he does. Fingers crossed, hoping for it, but it would have to be fantastic.
He might PB, even if he doesn't make that sub-hour. I don't exactly remember what his PB is, but I think it's a little longer than an hour, like 102 maybe.
I believe. Let me see. So I have it. I just need to bring it up. It is a 102.26, I believe.
Cool.
All right, so just as a little note, we do have a near match coming up after this, and things are running a little bit. A little bit behind, so it looks as though we are more than likely going to be cutting off the stream for this race after Diamondcraft finishes. So unfortunately, we won't be able to see live. We won't be able to see Wormham finish this run live, though I'm sure he'll have a PB to post at the end of it, regardless.
Cool. GG to everyone.
Yeah, Diamondcrafter here on 14 and 13, very notorious for how long they are. And ooh, just doesn't get that final jump can be tough, especially if you don't know how to neutral.
Yeah,
jump.
and even if you do know how to neutral, it can be kind of like, if you're not confident in your ability to use it, it's a bad time.
Yeah, I find my best way is to just make sure you get to the top on that initial block. That way when you jump, you're not climbing nearly as much. That's at least casually the best way to do it. And pretty much never quickly climbing up walls. And is able to get that last jump there on flag 13 on first try. That one's can be a tough one. Pretty precise. It's really just all about timing. If you're trying to go fast, you'll try to dash up a little bit too quickly, but he gets it there.
Yeah, from a casual perspective, I gotta comment that it can be hard sometimes to not squeeze that. Well, I mean, depending on what button you're using. In my case, it'd be the right trigger or left trigger. But it can be difficult to not, keep squeezing that hold button so much that your finger turns white throughout the entire game. Because that's a habit I know that from my perspective, and I would guess that a lot of casual players have, is that why would you ever not hold the grab button?
I still do. So when you guys were speedrunning or anything or playing this game, Birdo and Caroline, did you guys ever have that issue where you're just holding on to that to the climb button?
Absolutely, for me. I mean, I got out of that habit pretty fast, but I still do have a problem that just in general with gripping the controller too hard.
Yeah. And that's just Arthritis City right there. I think that's arthritis.
Yeah, it definitely makes it hard to practice for long periods of time. I sort of have to ration my practice before a race, or else like my hand will be all messed up, like when I'm actually trying to do well.
Yeah, I know that I would. I think that might be something that, I mean, I guess for anyone else that's listening that might be hearing that and thinking, oh yeah, I have that problem too. Maybe consider, like what, do you have any ideas as to how you might fix that? Because I think holding onto the controller too tightly might be a bit of a problem that can cause for some long-term hand issues if not addressed.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and it just also, I think, makes you play worse. I mean, it happens to me most of all when I'm like feeling stressed. I feel like it's possible to sort of train yourself out of it if you're like conscious of it and while you're practicing, but it is kind of hard to divert your attention in that way. So I don't know if I really have like a good answer for how to deal with that besides just try to work on it slowly, I guess, and practice and just try to be aware of what you're doing.
Okay, and with Diamondcrafter on, on the last flag.
This should be a PB. If that 102 was his PB, that was a PB by about a minute.
That's looking like a 130. That just might be a PB for Diamondcrafter.
Yeah, so
Diamondcrafter just announced a PB in Twitch chat, so it looks like he got it.
Hey, kudos to him. All right, and Wormham still got a bit of a ways to go, but I still believe in that sub 2 hour. However, this is going to have to be the end for the race. We got to get set up for the near tournament match coming up soon. So thank you very much, Birdo and Carolyn, for joining us for the last little bit of this race. Thank you very much, Shred, for joining me on commentary. And thank you to DiamondcrafterA and Wormham for giving this your best shot here. And we will see you for the next race. You'll want to, if you're still interested in more Celeste speedrunning races, you'll want to head over to the main speed gaming channel for a race between Renubris and Upright Thumbs, or wait, actually, between King Captain 27 and, who's this guy? Shredberg?
It sounds, I don't know who that is, but it sounds like they're probably going to win that race. I don't know anything about him, but
we'll have to see how that goes. Thank you very much.
It sounds like a very fast username.
And good night.